right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Bevs and Biz podcast. Today, we are honored to have a special guest, Toby Eborn, in the house.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Yes, we are pumped to have you. We're here on January 15th, 2025, and we are going to be diving into some great topics today. We'll be doing the usual, going through our beverage of choice today, which is the lovely Prime. I have not had one yet.
I have had a Prime, not this one.
Not the specific flavor. That's good. So we can give some unbiased ratings. We'll talk about just some general work topics, overviews, and then, of course, at the very end, we will be talking about our quick round of hot topics.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's my favorite part of the show. We'll allow no more than a sentence. It's either a one-word answer or a sentence or less.
Okay.
Even if it's something I know sometimes we have to bite our tongue. I think we did our very first episode recorded. It was right before the election, and there was a Trump for Kamala, and it was I really want to give some context to this, but
hear me out.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. So, first and foremost, would love to do some introductions.
Sure.
Toby, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, what you're currently doing for work, your role. Maybe just a quick little background on yourself. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I've recently made a transition and moved to a VP role for a digital marketing agency that specifically focuses on search engine optimization, or SEO. But I've been in the agency world for the last 11 years, all of which until just recently was with one agency that went through we went through a rebrand, then we got acquired, then that brand rebranded. So it's been a lot, but primarily my job has been focused on relationship building and working with clients to build strategies, and then managing a sales team and the revenue operations of a business. And so that's what I love to do. It's one of the things I love about being in marketing is that I get the opportunity to learn quite a bit about a lot of different businesses. Totally. I also have gotten to see some really exceptional business owners operate their businesses and got to learn a lot from them. I've also seen some exceptionally bad business operators.
Sure,
and so I've seen what not to do, which helps me in the role of working with companies when building marketing strategies, because I can say, don't do that. I've seen that play out. It doesn't go well. I've seen the things that work really well. So anyway, that's kind of me.
Cool. I appreciate it. I appreciate the background. Just to give some background as well on how we met originally, I believe, if my memory serves me right, Moto at that time was just honestly trying to network with local agencies like yourself. It literally was a Google search of just our surrounding area. We connected, and I will definitely give my firsthand testimony on how good you are at building those relationships. We definitely felt that rapport right from the beginning. And for us, honestly, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we continue to talk. That's the people we continue to have relationships with. Otherwise, we just... we wouldn't. That's the agency world.
Yeah,
so
it's a lonely life.
It can be a lonely life, but we're grateful that you're here, grateful that we connected. So let's dive into the first part of our show.
Okay.
Today we have Prime. I thought it was applicable. It's been in the news a lot lately with our whole, I can't remember what the new lunchbox is called, with the Feastables.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that one is called. Prime is in it. I know that's involved. The Pauls have been in the news a lot lately. If you didn't watch the fight, which
was atrocious, by the way.
Yeah, we could have a whole episode on that. Okay, quick first hot topic question. We'll dive right into one. Was it fake staged? Yes or no?
Yes.
I'm right there with you.
But I know that we're only one-liners, but there were some contractual things for Mike Tyson that if he didn't stretch it, he wasn't going to get paid.
And they had to give him to the third round.
Yeah, had to give him to the third round, and. But I don't know, if you watched the build-up, Mike Tyson was...
he's a dog. He's an animal.
He was banging those guys in the training sessions. And then when he was in the fight, he was like...
Yeah, he was holding.
He was definitely holding back. And there were times that Logan Paul held back, too. There were some times he could have really teed off.
I think there was a few wide open shots.
And he didn't. So it was 100% a money grab for Mike Tyson. And I get it. You're older in your career.
Respect.
He's had some times where he didn't make good financial decisions. So this was a chance for him. And he even said in an interview, he's like, I'm doing this for my kids. And to me, that was like, hey, I would like to financially take care of my kids. And he got a
And
pretty decent payday.
How can you? I mean, I would step into the ring and take a couple hits to the face.
If I was going to make $20 million, I will fight anybody.
Absolutely.
I will lose, but I will fight anybody.
Yeah, the fight of the night truly was the women's fight right before.
That was crazy.
Unreal. Those absolute respect to those ladies. I know that's not our topic today, but they were just.
Yeah.
Oh, that was insane.
Yeah.
Then they stood up the whole time. I couldn't believe it. Okay, to Prime.
Here we go.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. We'll see how this.
There's only 25 calories.
25 calories, and this is the blue raspberry flavor. A little ASMR right there for you.
Ooh,
That's sweet.
it's really sweet.
That's sweet. You can taste the. I know they're all about the electrolytes and the hydration. That's their big pitch. I mean, I love a blue Powerade because it's your salty, refreshing drink.
Yeah.
But that's sweet and salty. I'd say a little bit.
It's got a little salt in it. Yeah. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Not a huge fan.
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't drink carbonation anymore.
Yeah, I'm same
And
boat here.
I don't usually drink drinks that have actual sugar. And I know there's a whole culture around not drinking things that have artificial sweeteners, but
Which is probably a good thing.
But the drinks I drink have artificial sweeteners, so deal with it. I cut out soda a couple years ago, but I still need a caffeine fix, so I drink the Rockstar Recoveries.
Okay.
And I really just drink the orange one.
Okay.
Like my wife would tell you that it's a bit of a
It's
problem.
it's a staple at home.
Oh, it's a little out of control. But
Well, for the Prime, in the case of the Prime, I think I can kind of see where we're both heading here. But on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give the rating for the people out there?
I'm probably like a 4.
Okay, I'm a little higher, like a 5 or a 6, but nothing great.
Yeah.
Flavor was just.
You know where I see this being really good? I jumped on the Ninja Slushy bandwagon. Do you know what that is?
Like the actual Ninja brand.
Yeah.
And
they made a slushy
I've
machine.
got the ice cream maker.
Yeah,
Ninja
so there's
brand,
the
yeah.
creamy. We have that too. My wife is a Ninja nut.
Yep.
So they came out with a slushy
I
machine.
did not know that. Wow.
It's pretty fab. This would go great in the Ninja Slushy.
It would be a good slushy.
Yeah, it'd be really good.
I think that's a really good point. It'd be a good slushy flavor.
Yeah.
Okay. To the people out there, now you know how we feel about the Prime. I mean, there's been a lot of hype around it. He's built a crazy brand really, really fast, of course, with what they have at their disposal with all their content and stuff, but not great.
Yeah.
The flavor was just okay. Okay. Well, that concludes our first portion of the show.
Okay.
The Bevs portion. Now on to our biz portion. Again, Toby here today. We kind of gave some background on just your career journey, and I know you obviously made a recent transition. That's big news because when we had connected, you were at your previous job before the rebrand to Upward Engine.
Yeah.
Would just love to have you give us a 1 or 2 minute career journey synopsis again one more time, maybe some of the roles that you've been in. I think a lot of the people listening to this show would be working in similar fields, whether in creative, marketing, doing a lot of similar things that you are. So maybe you just take us through that again one more time real quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we go way back, I did all kinds of things. I was in the restaurant industry for a long time, and maybe I don't look it, but I'm a grandpa. I have 3 grandkids now. So I spent like a decade in the restaurant industry, and then I got tired of that, like 60, 70-hour work weeks.
It's
And every weekend, every holiday, I was missing my kids growing up, so I got out of it and I got into a sales job at a tech company. I worked at GoDaddy way back.
Nice, yeah.
And that was a fun place to be until they went public. I was there when that transition started.
Probably big changes. While you were
it was crazy. And GoDaddy used to be like a party all the time, and then it went to not so much a party.
Interesting.
Pretty much all the time.
When they went public, is that when?
Yeah. And anyway, I ended up leaving. I came here. I had one other little job that was a very short stint, like 3 months, and then I went to a company called Pole Vault Media. And had the chance to work with my cousin, who was the CEO of the company, and he's also a professor at the University of Utah. And he was actually a great mentor for me in the digital marketing world. Pole Vault was a very small operation. I think we were like 10 full-time employees and a dozen interns or something like that. It was a real small shop.
Yeah.
But I came in a sales role, and Tony was like, "Hey man, we want to blow this thing up." And so I read a lot of books, I watched a lot of YouTube videos, I listened and asked a lot of questions to Tony, who was very knowledgeable. We grew. We were part of like the Mountain West Capital fastest 100 growing companies.
So awesome.
A few times. I think the best we ever did was like 38th or something like that. Like,
it's a great list to be on, though.
Yeah.
Some really great Utah companies.
Yeah.
Or the Mountain West region. It's an awesome place.
And so got to do that. We rebranded from Pole Vault Media. We became Fire Toss, which was the brand we ran with forever.
Yep.
Tremendously successful rebrand. Loved the team that I worked with. After COVID was pretty taxing for Tony as an owner, and he just kind of hit a point. He's like, I'm ready to be done and move on to the next thing. So he had been approached by the CEO of what is now Upward Engine years before, actually. I think back in 2017 was the first time he came and said, "Hey, I'm interested in buying your company." And he finally went back to him and said, "Hey, okay, I'm ready." It's time. Took him a little bit, but they worked it out. So we got acquired, and I stayed on with the companies that got acquired, and I was put into a leadership role, much bigger organization. Fire Toss was like 30 people. Yeah. The company that acquired us was like 150. Bigger sales team, needed a lot more structure. And so I got put into a leadership role there as the director of sales and revenue, and had a really good experience for a while.
Yeah.
But just lots of different things. I won't disparage anybody or anything like that, but it became clear to me that it was time to move on. And so I transitioned over. But to be honest, I've been in sales a long time, and I love those relationships. But one thing that I have always had a knack for was just operations and looking at the way things go. And I had the chance to be heavily involved with that in Fire Toss, somewhat involved at Upward Engine, but then being removed from it as well. But I had the chance to transition over to another really highly respected agency that I've known for a long time.
So exciting.
And they're considered, I believe, like we're like a top 3 national brand for SEO.
Oh, dang.
But it's a very small company, very much like what Fire Toss was, although the focus is different, the clientele is different, and my role is very different because I'm not doing sales anymore.
Yeah.
But I get to focus on the way the business runs, how we work with our partners, how our staff members are tracked, and how we create accountability, how we create growth opportunities for them. It's a really exciting role for me to be in. So.
Amazing. Well,
yeah,
congrats on the recent change and transition. I know
thank
it's very exciting. I'm sure plenty of stuff to learn ahead. I'll backtrack a little bit because I knew you at Fire Toss originally, and then obviously Upward Engine. You hit on operations and the sales side, so I wanted to hit on operations real quick. You mentioned to me at one point you were managing, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of clients. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah, we were like, it's not. At the end, it wasn't this many, but at one point we were like up to 1,200 clients.
1,200 clients, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me real shortly about that. I think that's probably applicable again to the people who would be tuning in here and listening, especially those working in the agency or wanting to work in the agency world. That's a lot of people to work with. That's a lot of clients. How did you manage it?
Well, so we have a team of people that, we had a team of people that was their job. To be honest, again, this goes to why it was time for me to move on. Difference in philosophies of how that needs to be done. You have to give expectations for successful operation at that scale comes from understanding the needs of the clients, setting the right expectations for those clients.
Yeah.
And then putting measures in place to hold your people accountable for achieving things that you can actually track.
Good points, yeah.
And so we had a really great team of, we called them CSMs, like client support or customer success managers, account managers, for the easiest way to understand it. But some of them, depending on the size of the client, some of them managed 20 clients, which is a pretty manageable.
Oh, for sure. It's a smaller book.
Yeah. But we had some people that were managing like 70 clients. Yeah. And the problem with that really is that when you have clients that have smaller monthly budgets, so the customers that spend $500 a month, the problem is that those people are small businesses, and to them that $500 is as impactful
It's precious money
as the person who spends $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
But from a logistical standpoint, you don't have the resources to dedicate to somebody that spends $500 a month. You have to allocate it to the people that spend more money. And so, but those people tend to be the ones that, because to them, their $500 is a lot of money, they want the exact same amount of attention, everything.
Maybe if not more.
Yeah, if not more. Like sometimes they're the most difficult ones to deal with. And so that becomes problematic. So the problem is the people who are managing 60 or 70 clients, most of them are those small clients, which means you have a lot of people making a lot of demands and having very high expectations. And you really don't have the ability to fulfill on it properly.
Yeah.
So it was a challenge for sure. But that's not to say that we didn't have really great people that were working very hard. I think sometimes they worked at a deficit because they're putting out fires.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, they're just constantly in reaction mode versus being able to be proactive. And really, in my experience in 10, 11 years of doing this, success comes from being the one who gets to reach out to the client and say, hey, I just want to let you know, this is the stuff we've been doing. Here's some cool things that have happened.
You're solving their problems proactively.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and even if you're not solving the problem, but you just have the time to touch base with them and say, hey, I just want to let you know something cool that happened this week. We saw a 3% bump in conversion rate on this campaign. And I thought that was cool. So I thought I'd let you know. We'll talk later. And that's it. That's all you got to do. But you don't always have time to do that when you've got 60 clients to deal with. And so sometimes people fall through the cracks. It's hard. Yeah. The other thing that was a little bit different, and I don't disagree with it in any way, but it was a no contract situation. All of our clients were month to month and lived on the principle that we should be doing good work and providing results. And if we don't, we would expect you to move on and find somebody else. They did have a really good lifetime client value.
That does speak volumes.
Clients were sticking around for 2 to 3 years most times. If you could get them through the first 90 days, you usually were able to hang on to them for 2 or 3 years, which is great. Yeah. And that's how you're able to scale to 1,200 clients. Sometimes it's the ones that first 90 days are really, really critical.
That's where the expectations are high.
Yeah. So, but anyway.
No, I love that. I just think, again, applicable here, some good lessons for those listening. Maybe if I'll do a quick synopsis or summary on what you were saying and some key points I took away. Yeah. I think people, number one, having the right people on your team, I'm sure was massive. Your CSMs, I'm sure, were lifesavers at that point, being able to manage that many accounts. Obviously not something you could do on your own. So when you're scaling to that big of a size, I think having people you trust is one huge takeaway for me. Two, maybe we'll go back to that point about the clients that might be spending less. I think this is a conversation I literally had this morning with a friend who's a freelancer right now, trying to manage his own business.
Sure. Was
talking about this job. I'm already losing money on it. The expectations. It was a lower budget thing. I do think when you're starting out, there's the balance of when you say yes and when you say no. I'd probably lean towards saying yes more often when I'm starting out. But as you grow and you get to 1,200 clients, or with Moto, maybe we're servicing 50 to 100 different clients a year. There's times when you do have to say no for your growth, and I think we've discovered a better balance of that recently. Yeah. So maybe that's another takeaway, is when to say yes and when to say no, finding the right client fit. I think that comes with time and trial and error a little bit there.
Sure. Well, and as you operate your business, you figure out what you are actually really good at.
Yes.
And there's the whole a mile wide or a mile deep, right? Do I want to have 45 services that I offer, but I'm sort of mediocre at all of them?
Yep.
Or do I want to have 3, but I'm really, really good at these 3?
Yeah.
And this goes back to my restaurant days. I love single concept restaurants. I spent quite a bit of time in them. I love places like Five Guys Burgers and Fries.
Yeah.
I love J-Dogs locally here in Utah.
Yeah.
They make a hot dog.
They're simple.
And there's nothing else.
But
although if you go to the Delta Center to a hockey game representing Utah Hockey Club, you can get fries. They don't do that at any of their restaurants.
That's true. We love the fries, too.
The fries are great.
But
pick something, do it better than anybody else. And you can be that's what you can scale at.
Yeah.
If you pick something, you niche down and you become really, really good at it. It's really hard to say I'm an expert in 35 different things. Now, you could be a very large organization and have people that do specialize in 35 things and successfully operate it. But then you've got to have people that know how to manage those processes and things.
Yep, and realistically, for this size of businesses, again, that people are listening here, I'd imagine are usually smaller shops, or one-person teams or small teams. And I totally agree with your point. I've even seen that in the almost 4 years I've been here at Moto. We tried almost to expand our service reach, and then we're like, nope, this isn't us. We weren't being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's find the right partners, the right people, the people who are good at it. But it wasn't ultimately our specialty.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you and I have had a couple times where I've had somebody that said, I want to do a video. I want to do this. And I'd say, that isn't really my bag. I don't know how to price it out. I tried Fire Toss. We tried it years ago.
Yeah.
We always ate our shorts every time because it was driven by the customer and what they wanted to pay, not driven by what it actually cost
The actual
to do
creative,
it.
yeah.
So I had times where we had a trucking client that was up in the Ogden area that wanted to do this drone video and they wanted to do this thing. And we were like, yeah. I mean, at first we threw out like $3,000.
Yeah.
And they're like, we were thinking like $1,000. We're like, okay, we'll do that. And got $5,000 into it. We're like, crap, we totally undersold this.
Yep.
And so what I've gotten really good at is just saying, because people come and they say, well, I'd like your recommendation. You're the expert. I'd like your recommendation. Great. Here's my recommendation. And then they come back and say, that's more than I wanted to spend. And I say, great. Then what are you, of the things I've laid out here, what are the things that are priorities?
Yeah.
Because we can pull some things out of this. But I think it's disingenuous to just say, well, we'll do it for that much money.
Yeah.
Because then their expectations are that you're going to do all of this stuff when you've laid out what the cost is to do it.
Yeah.
So it's okay to say, look, we're happy to work with you, and we can find a way to work together in the budget that you have, but you've got to reduce your expectations.
Yep, they have to match.
And then when you push, in the agency world, scope creep is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Like, how much can they get?
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to say, great, that's a little bit out of scope. I'd be happy to give you an estimate. Looks like that's going to be an extra 3 hours of work, and at $180 an hour, there's the cost. We can always do more. It's always going to affect the cost and the timeline to get it done.
Yep.
If you're okay with that, we can work together forever.
You're speaking to my heart.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, like, countless times we've learned this lesson: the scope creep, wanting more, setting the right expectations, clearly defining whether it's deliverables or whatever it is, and then having that boundary or that hard line that you can set where you say, you know what, we can do that, but it's going to be X amount for X amount of more hours. It's a skill not a lot of people have.
Well, and frankly, it's a skill you have to have in writing your agreements.
Absolutely.
Like your SOWs or proposals or whatever you call them inside your business. You have to have clarity. If there's ambiguity in there, sometimes people say, well, we want it to be ambiguous. Well, you are putting yourself at risk when you do that as a business, because you're leaving the door open for them to assume that all that stuff is included.
Yeah.
And you say, well, it isn't in the contract. Well, but it's pretty vague.
Yeah.
So we had talked about it in the sailing process, and so I had every right to assume that you were going to include that.
Yeah.
And you don't have much of a leg to stand on to say, well, you're right. I mean, you're stuck, right? Yeah. You're stuck with either a customer who's upset because they feel like you're nickel and diming them.
Yeah.
Whereas you just say, look, hey, that was outside of the scope of what we talked about. Remember we talked about it up front? You did say you wanted it, and I gave you the price, and you said you needed to come down, so we removed that.
Yep. And now if you want to add it again, hey, great.
We're happy to do it.
Yep.
We'd love to do it. That's why I put it in there. I think it's a great idea. But everything costs time. And every business is like that.
Yeah.
A lot of times I go back to when people are like, well, this is ridiculous. You change the price. I'm like, no, let me help you understand something. If I'm building a house, I go to the builder, and the builder says, here's what's included. And I say, great. And then I come back and say, you know what? I actually don't like the sink in this spot in the kitchen. I'd like it moved over here. And they say, fine.
Yeah, they're going to charge you every time.
They're going to charge you for every bit of material and every bit of labor. And and their contracts are written in a way that they don't even have to tell you.
No.
They're going to bill you for it. Attorneys are going to bill you for every hour they spend on it. You want to talk about it? You want to meet with them 3 times a week? Great. You're just going to get billed for it. It's the way business works. Yeah. So as long as the customer knows, and most of these customers, they would do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
They would protect their own business and their time and their investment into a customer in the exact same way.
Absolutely.
So as long as you just set the expectation, but if you leave the door open for them to take advantage of you,
oh man,
most of the time they will.
And it happens.
Yeah,
it
happens.
Does. In the marketing and creative world, there can be ambiguity. I mean, you could tell someone, hey, we're going to make you one 30-second video. And if I just said that to Coca-Cola versus small shop down the road, I think there's going to be some massively different expectations and budgets. So I love that we talked about this, because I honestly think this is maybe the most frequent conversation that I have with people in the industry, freelancers, people trying to start their own agencies. How do I price? What are the expectations that I set? And so I love our takeaways here. Set some clear boundaries, make it clear. Less ambiguity is great. Clear expectations, good communication, proactivity, and a lot of these things are great. So I love it. We could have a full episode on this alone. That's a good topic. But for sake of time, we'll dive into my next question, if that's all right.
It.
So I want to hear 2 things real quick from you. Is maybe one of the toughest lessons learned, and maybe we've hit on that already, but maybe one of the toughest lessons you've learned in your career through either trial and error or just as you've worked through the years, and then maybe one of your favorite things that's happened to you in your career growth, or one of the favorite lessons that you've learned through positive growth. So maybe in a story where you're like, ooh, I learned this the hard way, and then something else maybe more on the positive end of.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've learned that was not the most enjoyable to learn was that just because someone is the CEO or owner of a business does not mean that they know everything that needs to happen with that business.
That's fair.
And that's a painful thing to learn and experience. CEOs oftentimes are put in a position where they're looked to make decisions on behalf of everybody else.
Yeah.
And especially in the marketing world. Marketing is a place where so many people say, I don't have any experience, but I love marketing. I want to get into it. And you hire them. And rightfully so. They're smart. They're talented. And there's not a lot of college level courses that really prepare someone to come in, especially the digital side of marketing, there are some. Yeah. And but by and large, a lot of these universities are still teaching the 4 pillars of marketing, like product placement.
And I feel similarly about creative. Like there's good film courses out there, some good schools around here locally, but at the end of the day, you're going to learn more one day on set than you are in your classes. Yeah. So
surround yourself with people that are good at what they do, and then learn as much as you can. So, I think that was a really hard lesson for me to learn, was that the boss doesn't always know what to do.
That's totally fair. I like that one.
And oftentimes, because they're the boss, they don't want to listen to anybody else.
They have their opinions.
And it's their right to have those.
And they got there to the point they are for a reason.
Yeah, they got there. They own the business. It's their call to make.
Yeah,
doesn't mean it's going to be the right one.
Fair.
Fun things that I learned, things that I enjoyed. I'll tell you what. My most enjoyable things about my career have really been people. I've met some really lifelong friends that I have either worked with directly, like they've worked in the same company. In fact, my best friend right now, I originally met him when I was 12 years old, because he was a friend of my cousin, and I used to go and I was the younger cousin that tagged along. Yeah, probably more because our moms said Toby's going to go hang out with you, And so I met some of those friends when they were in middle school and high school. And then we all got to end up working together and have become my best friends. But in the business world, I have people that I've met that have genuinely become really, really strong relationships in my life. And so to me, that's been the best part of it, is to be able to enrich your life through other people. And sometimes it's people who have a completely different lifestyle, different opinions, different views on things, but they're just unique figures in your life. And I think that's such a cool thing about being in the marketing world. Yeah, really, really great experiences. I remember we had a client that we worked with, and the director of marketing was British. And he would come in to the office, and he was always funny. And my coworkers were like, "You should arm wrestle him," because like a week or so before, one of our other coworkers is in a band locally
cool.
called Folk Hogan. They've done tons of shows,
fun.
and so they did an album release show at Urban Lounge downtown. We did this, and while we were sitting there in these booths, we were having arm wrestles, and I was beating
funny.
everybody. And so this client comes in, and Tony goes, "You should arm wrestle Steven." And his name's Steven Curlew.
Sure.
You can look him up.
Yeah.
He worked with Better Body Foods and PB Fit, which is one of my clients.
Yeah.
And so we sit down, and Steven's he's about your build, you know? He's a 6-foot guy. He's in good shape, but there's nothing that you're like,
Oh, this guy's jacked.
yeah. Turns out Steven's like a world champion arm wrestle. Like there's
They were setting you
YouTube
up.
videos. Oh yeah, this guy looked at me like, "All right, let me know when you're ready to start." And I was like, "Oh." He just worked me over. But anyway, there's just cool experiences.
Good
like
memory.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing people can overlook, especially when they're looking for a job or when they've just started new places. I genuinely believe it's all about the people that are there. 2 shout outs to, my first real big job was with the Utah Jazz. I have lifelong friends. We talk about it. We still get together quite a bit. And we talked about it the other day, just like how lucky we are that we got to work on the same team. And now they're literally some of my all-time best friends. One, I officiated their wedding.
Oh, nice.
One friend that I worked with there, they live across the road now. We both have had children since and have just shared in those experiences. We get together quite a bit. Just a great group of people. And now here at Moto, like if I were to tell anybody about what I love most, it's always going to be the people first. I'm lucky I work well and with my older brother. We're fortunate there. But then outside of working well with Taylor, just amazing people, amazing men and women who are just such good people, and they make the work so much better, makes every day so much better. Like I kind of always say this is I don't it matters a little bit what you sell or what you're doing. Like there's a passion there, but ultimately at the end of the day, if you're not happy with the people you're surrounded by, you're not going to like what you do.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, if you're selling a crappy product you don't necessarily believe in or whatever it is, but you are surrounded by amazing people, your life's just going to be so much better. So I love that advice for those who are listening. Surround yourself with good, talented people who work hard and believe in some of the same stuff that you do. I think that'll help you succeed. Okay, last question before we get into our speed round. If you were to sit your younger self down right now, or someone who is looking to get into, doesn't have to be just the digital marketing world, but perhaps that world, or someone who is looking to make a career change, what advice would you give any of those people or your younger self?
I think, gosh, I would say don't believe everything everybody tells you. And I'll put a caveat to that. Don't believe everything you tell yourself. I think that people are capable of far more than they think they are.
Love that.
Myself being one of them. I'll be honest. I worked in the restaurant industry. I lived a pretty modest life. I still live a pretty modest life, but I don't know that I saw myself being overly successful in life. We'd had financial struggles. We had this young family. Like, I just kind of thought, this is what I'm in for.
Yeah, this is the grind. I'm gonna.
My dad worked at a grain elevator all during my youth. Like, my dad was a hard worker, didn't make a lot of money. We lived a very simple life. We always had the things that we needed. Yeah. Very few of the things that we wanted, but we had a good childhood, right? And I kind of thought that maybe that's what it was going to be for me too. Like, it was just going to be a little bit of that struggle. Yeah. And there's always struggles, but they've changed. And it took a couple people and some books that I absolutely loved that were like life-changing books for me to just change the way I thought about things. And so don't believe everything you tell yourself about what you're capable of, and definitely don't believe everything everybody else tells you. Believe in yourself. If you've got something that you are passionate about, or you want, even if you want to be passionate about it, get after it. Learn, read, watch videos, and watch lots of videos. don't assume that because you're watching this person tell you how to do something that person's right. Pull the good things out, but watch somebody else. Like there's a ton of amazing information and a lot of really skilled people out there. I'm not a big reader, but I do a lot of audiobooks.
I'm right there with
my
you.
Audible library is a little bit embarrassing. Audible has this cool thing you can go and see how much time you've actually spent listening to books. You should do it.
It's like your Spotify Wrapped, but your Audible Wrapped.
Yeah, but it's out of control. I'm at like 6 months of my life has been doing audiobooks.
That's a good activity to be.
But I've learned a lot. And so if there's a book that anybody should read, life-changing book for me, simple plug, you can read it in an hour and a half. I read it on a flight from Denver to Salt Lake.
Okay.
It's called The Dip.
Dip. Okay, I haven't read this.
It's by Seth Godin.
Okay.
And it is amazing. Like I read it at a time that I was in a little bit of a rut professionally, and I was in the digital marketing space at this time, but totally changed the way I think about things, and I still think about it pretty much every day. So, yeah.
Okay,
that's my
good,
advice.
Good recommendation. The Dip for those listening, and I just wanted to echo on one thing you were saying there. I think you were essentially alluding to like if you hustle. You put yourself out there, you have the willingness to learn. I just think that there's so many opportunities. I try to stress that to family that are trying to get into the career field. My younger brothers-in-law, as they've been hustling and searching for jobs, friends, I just think if you hustle, you learn, you are capable of so much more than you even know. It's not just going to be this one job and that's it.
Yeah.
This is going to be your financial situation forever. Like, hustle, network well, put yourself around good people, develop more skills. There's so much opportunity, I think, for people, and they sell themselves a little short.
Yeah.
So.
Agreed.
Okay. Love that. All right. Final section here of our podcast. Just to give a quick background again for those, if you're tuning in for the first time, we will do some hot topics, which can be anywhere from something serious. We were doing some stuff pre-election, and there were some pretty heavy topics to some stupid topics as well. We try to give just a quick, concise answer. We say like a sentence or less or a one-word answer on these. I know it can be tough because we can dive into some different things, but we'll get into it. I have 5 questions written down today. So,
all right, let's hit it.
AI, this is big in our industry right now, both of our industries. Are you on board or are you not?
I'm on board.
Okay, and why?
Quick caveat,
Okay.
You just have to use it correctly.
Okay.
You can't lean everything into AI. Harness it for what it's supposed to be used for and avoid it for the things that there are pitfalls.
Okay, agreed. I'm right on board with you. It's a tool. It can be a creator's tool. Okay, the Bitcoin train is popping off right now. Are you hopping on the Bitcoin train, or are you nervous and hopping off the Bitcoin train?
I've been on the Bitcoin train.
Okay.
I hopped off of it right after it took a dump on me 2 years ago. So to tell you why I like it. So I'm not actively putting anything else into it, but I had liquidated my stuff down to like nothing.
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch of Shiba Inu.
Oh, I'm a Dogecoin guy myself. Yeah.
And I'd left it in my crypto.com account. Like I'd left a couple of dollars, just like
see where it goes. Yeah.
And mostly because I couldn't figure out how to sell the last.
Oh, some of it's a scam out there. Yeah.
And then everything started to pop off in the last little bit.
Yeah.
And so I logged back in. I had to go through this whole verification of my identity because I hadn't been in it in like a year and a half. And my couple dollars of
Pleasant surprise.
Oh yeah, I'd left like less than $10 in that account, and now it's like over 100.
That's awesome.
So it's like if I would have left the thousands of dollars, maybe I'd be a lot better off. But.
So in summary, I'd say you are on the Bitcoin train, but maybe not like actively on it.
Yeah, I'm not actively on it.
I wish I was more on it. I'm sure that's how a lot of people feel, is they wish they were more on it. So okay, this one's a dumb one. Free range or caged eggs?
Free range.
Free range. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are a shout out Happy Egg. We are a free range.
I mean, I still buy caged eggs.
They're the cheaper. It's usually a cheaper option. Minus a couple years ago when it was all crazy with the.
But if you're asking me what my preference would be, it would be free range,
okay.
of course.
Fair. Love that. AirPods or no AirPods, or maybe just wireless headphones, or no wireless headphones.
Wireless headphones for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely no AirPods. And I'm an Apple guy.
Okay.
I don't like the AirPods.
I haven't heard this answer before. So what's your go-to?
So I have Sony Shocks,
Okay.
and they're like the over-ear,
Over-ear.
flexi, but wireless. Absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And then I have a cool pair of like buds because I listen to audiobooks, and
Yeah.
I put them in when I go to sleep. And I
nice.
just set like go to the end of the chapter. And so I have these little buds that go right in the
that's
ears,
smart.
but they don't hurt, so I can fall asleep and I wake up and
Because
take them
that's
out.
my big beef sometimes with wireless is if you wear them for a while, you get like almost like a sore ear,
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
enough. But if you ask my dad, he's like he doesn't do the AirPods because he loves the over the ear, so it stays.
Yeah, if
on his
you
ear.
looked at my bedside table, you'd be like, "This is a little bit
It's a little
absurd."
weird.
There's like 3 sets of wireless earbuds and then
Oh,
2
wow.
sets of over-ear headphones.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was asking the right person today,
Yeah.
then I guess.
but I don't like AirPods.
Yeah. Okay. I'm an AirPod guy, just admittedly, but I wireless all the way. It has to be.
Look, some
Has to be
people don't like AirPods, and some people are wrong. You're just in the wrong.
I guess
category.
I'm wrong. I guess I'm wrong. Okay. All right. House temperature at night, and like I'm saying this as it's pretty warm in this room right now, but house temp at night above or below 70 degrees.
Above.
Above. Wow.
Above. Okay, but hear me out.
Wow.
I have a reason why.
Okay.
I'm going to backtrack. Like 2.5 years ago, I was like close to 500 pounds.
You shared some of your story, which is
Yeah.
incredible.
And now I'm like 270.
Yeah. Massive
So
change.
even though I'm 270, I'm 6'4", I'm 270, which is
Yeah.
still a big dude. I'm freezing all the time, all the time. My wife got me a single, like a twin heated blanket,
Oh, I love a
so
good
that I
heated
can put
blanket.
it on top of me because my wife would open the windows
Yeah.
at night.
Oh, we're 65 and below
Yeah.
at night.
I mean, our house generally sits at like 71.
Okay. That's a comfortable temperature.
Yeah, but like I sleep with like top sheet, comforter, additional
Heated
blanket on
blanket.
top of it
Wow.
because I'm cold all the time.
That's totally fair. Our house has changed a little bit recently since we had a baby a few months ago. It was it 66 or below for our nights.
Ugh.
I love it cold. Obviously, we're not going to freeze the poor guy out.
Yeah.
So it's been sitting around 69, 70 degrees.
Yeah.
I've adjusted a little bit. It's pretty comfy now. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm cold all the time.
yeah, hey, here we are, midwinter too, January. We're ready to be done.
Yeah, and we're here in this hot box, and
And it's very warm in here.
Oh, I think it's perfect.
It's perfect?
It's perfect for me. And I've got an undershirt, a t-shirt,
got
a
the
hoodie.
sweater.
Yeah.
We're in the right setting. Well, Toby, I really appreciate your time. This is so nice. I hope that everybody today listening took some good snippets away, whether it's, we talked about hustling and putting yourself out there, learning new skills, surrounding yourself with the right people, building great relationships, I think was a big takeaway as well. So hopefully it was educational and helpful to everyone listening. As well, we learned something about Prime. Not great, maybe in a slushie.
I think a slushie would
maybe
be
a slushie.
good. Yeah.
Okay, well, cheers one more time. Appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Appreciate your
Hunter,
time.
thanks for having me, and congratulations on your guys' success.
Thank you.
For those of listeners who maybe haven't looked at your website and looked at the work you guys do, it's really phenomenal. And we worked with you guys on a little drone project
Yeah.
not too long ago, which was cool. That website is going live here
nice.
any minute. So,
Love it.
like maybe this week, I think.
Amazing.
Really, really cool stuff. So congrats
Appreciate
to you
it.
guys,
Thank
and you guys do great work. So
Thank you. Well, that's all. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next
Yep.
episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Bye.